Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we're going to be reacting to a clip of the Whatever podcast titled Clown Girl Cooks Her Friend for Speaking Nonsense. Now, I'm not a big fan of the red pill stuff. I think that stuff is stupid. Basically, to me, the Whatever podcast is just like the diet version of Fresh and Fit. And I think that's the reason why they've been allowed to stay on YouTube and not been demonetized like Fresh and Fit were. So without further ado, let's get right into it.
A lot of liberal-leaning women, especially who are feminist-leaning, often state that I think it should be this way, or this person's oppressed, and I'm going to college for it, and I've been in college for 8 years, and I've learned all this, and I've taken all these classes, but then you don't state anything. It's just all opinions.
Well, I'm stating actual studies. I mean, of course, I guess it's a terrible example if I don't remember the actual case study, but
there's no
That's it. That's always super convenient when it comes to liberals. They always cite facts, but they can never point to their sources, which I think is hilarious.
reasoning why. It's just, oh, this person this one day got oppressed by this person, but a man had a similar scenario happen, but that wasn't oppression. That was just a mere coincidence that day.
To back up Malik's point here, and let me mansplain a little bit. It's good for Malik to hear this. So, even if the study is true, whatever it is that you're referencing, and that there was a similar set of qualifications between a male and a female, and pictures shown to a class, and the class thought that the woman was a boss bitch and the man was sophisticated, or some variation thereof, that still wouldn't actually indicate that women were oppressed. That would just be a moderate sociological study of which you still could not draw any apt conclusions of oppression from such a study.
well, I think there's a general opinion based off of that it's like it's harder for women to get promoted, for example, because their initiative,
so what
their
Malik
action.
just said is right then. An opinion.
It's so crazy to me how Western women feel like they're so oppressed, yet they live in the most liberal, liberated society that has ever existed. There has been no other time in human history where women have been freer here in the West than they are now, yet they will claim to you, and this is mostly the feminist types, I don't want to say all women, but they will claim to you that they are oppressed and that they're being held down, that they get paid less than a man, like 70 cents on the dollar. And if that were the case, then all companies would just fucking hire women and save a shit ton of money on pay. Because if I have two people that are coming to interview, why am I going to hire the man? If one is a man and one is a woman, why am I going to hire the man if I can pay the woman less and simultaneously meet some gender and race quota that has been imposed to me by the government or whatever, because I have to hire X amount of people of color or X amount of people of certain sex? Why wouldn't I do that? Why wouldn't I just run a company full of women and pay them less? And that myth has been debunked plenty of times, by the way. And when they reference that, they don't reference stuff like, professions that women choose, time taken off of work, to raise children or whatever. There's a lot of factors that go into the myth of the gender wage gap, but we're not going to get into it. But I just find it hilarious that Western women will claim they're so oppressed here, yet they live in the freest society that has existed in the history of mankind. Meanwhile, actual oppressed women who can't say anything, who will get stoned to death in countries like Iran or Pakistan for not wearing a head veil. They will get stoned and killed if they get raped and then they report the rape. The woman actually gets killed for reporting the rape if she doesn't have at least 4 witnesses that could corroborate her story. And they have to be men. It cannot be women. But actual oppressed women have it real bad. Yet these feminist leftist types will tell you that they are super oppressed in this country, talking about they get promoted less. Well, women also tend to not ask for promotions as much as men. They tend not to ask for raises as much as men. And that's all been proven. So of course,
based off the psychological.
Not anything which is really tangible nor scientifically demonstrated, but an opinion. So what Malik is saying, because she deals with Twitch lunatics all the time, she knows this as well as any of us do, which is that oftentimes people will characterize sociological studies as being backups for their opinion. They've never even read the studies. They don't know anything about
they just read the excerpt.
And then they cite them as some form of evidence for their opinion. And so the distinction here that I'm looking for is I want to determine if this is just your opinion, or if you think that there's any actual scientific validity to the fact that in a sociological study that there was a variance of opinions given, and that means we can draw some kind of conclusion from that.
How do you scientifically prove?
Can I?
Sure.
Wait. Just finish your
Oppression?
Yeah, oppression.
Okay, great. So I'm part Persian. I'm Middle Eastern. Okay, in Iran, women will
There's
get
the
arrested,
argument.
killed, attacked, beat just for showing their hair.
Oh my God.
To me, that is oppression.
This is a blind react, by the way, guys. I had not seen this video. This popped up across my timeline, and I said, you know what? I wanted to do a reaction video today, just to get ahead of myself. And yeah, there it is. She's making the exact point that I'm making, that actual oppressed women in other countries have it bad. They will get killed. They will get stoned. These women talk about, we have rape culture here in America when there's actual rape culture in other countries. And the way to prove the rape, right, is by having 4 male witnesses. That is how you prove you were raped in other countries, or else you get stoned to death. Here, all these girls have to do is go online and make an accusation, and whoever it is, they're immediately canceled, because they always go to the internet. They never go to the cops. They always go to the internet. And so now a man's reputation has been ruined if it turns out to be false allegations. There's never any coming back from it. But apparently we live in a rape culture here in America, because we condone rape. Sure.
That's not scientific evidence of oppression. The scientific evidence,
That's factual
What?
evidence.
That's
Like,
factual
You don't
evidence.
need to have any scientific study. If a woman shows her hair in public in Iran, there's a high probability that a violent hate crime is going to be committed against her just for showing her hair, because in Iran and the Middle East specifically, there's a lot of oppression against women, and women are not treated.
Well, now, but hang on, Malik. Nobody went there with a clipboard and a pen and determined scientifically whether or not beating the shit out of a woman was oppression or not, Malik. So you calm down
it's a
over there.
statistic,
You're
yes,
out of
and
control
I-
again.
So what are
It's not a
stats? Are
statistic,
stats not?
It's a fact.
It's a statistic.
You don't need science. You don't need
It's a fact. It
statistics.
happens.
Well, it's a fact. It's facts that add into statistics.
But you don't need to do any scientific study to know that if you go to the Middle East, you may not even live a day just dressed how you are right now. In America, you can walk to a bar alone at night, get drunk, and get home safe. Yes, that's not the safest thing to do, but even the fact that you have the capability of doing that shows that women are free and not oppressed. And you can get job. You want to be a full-time worker your entire life, work a 9 to 5. You're going to college, you're studying. There's some countries that still women.
Exactly. And just to make a point, in Afghanistan, as soon as the Taliban took over, again, after the withdrawal by Joe Biden, last year or 2 years ago, I can't even remember. I believe it was in 2022. There were women that were actually in school when America was occupying the land and was there, facilitating whatever it was they were doing. But as soon as they left, the women were taken out of schools. In Afghanistan, women are literally not allowed to study. They're not allowed to go to school. In Saudi Arabia, they're not allowed to drive. For women to drive, I believe they have to have a chaperone, like another man. Like, they're not allowed to do any. That's actual oppression.
Don't even have those rights fully where they can get an education and work. They're just forced to live a life that they just have to, or they're dead.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've never said women are not oppressed everywhere else in the world. I just think
I'm
there's
saying
examples
that,
and cases of
to me, that's
oppression here.
That's what oppression is. In America, women do not face any of that.
I don't. It's a little extreme to say any of that. There are cases.
There are outliers, but generally, the laws in the United States of America do not allow women to be oppressed.
Yeah,
Here's
but
a
also,
question.
on top of that, if you're going to point to outliers, then each outlier you can point to, I can point to a similar outlier for why men are oppressed inside of this great country
That's
as well.
true.
So anytime you decide to indicate one of these outliers, I'm happy to match you one for one
Do
for
you think-
why it is that men can go in.
Do you think men
with
are
these
oppressed?
wonderful qualifications that they have.
Look how good women have it in the U.S. Women can join the military, sure, and they can join combat roles, but they can never be drafted. They don't have to sign up for selective service. That's something that every young male has to do here in this country, or risk going to jail. If by some chance we have another world war and the United States needs to implement a draft, the men will be drafted and the women will be left at home or join the war if they want to. But of the men that decide that they do not want to go to war, they do not want to fight for this country, guess what will happen? They're going to jail. That's the reality of it. When it comes to family court, right? And I'm not trying to make any red pill points. This is just reality. It's real. I'm not making the point that Pearl makes, like, oh, you shouldn't be able to vote if you can't be drafted, like you have to have some skin in the game. I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that women have it so good here, yet they complain to be oppressed. Family court, majority of the time, who's gonna get the custody of the kids? The woman. Majority of the time, who's getting fucked in family court? The man. He's having to give up half his shit, give up his kids, pay alimony, and pay child support until the kids are 18 to support a lifestyle that he built for her. And it rarely goes the other way around. Now, it's happened with rich people getting divorced with, from people making less than them. But generally, it doesn't. Most homeless people in this country are men. Not saying they're not homeless women, but there are a lot of programs that are afforded to women that are not afforded to men. Public assistance, right? Mostly women get public assistance. Men often don't qualify for those benefits or that assistance. We can go on and on and on about the privileges that women here in America and in the West generally have that men don't. Yet they will claim that they are oppressed. And like I said, he's correct. If you want to go outliers, right, you can put them both sides. Because who has the highest suicide rate between both the sexes? Men kill themselves at a much higher rate than women do. And again, I can go on and on and on, but let's keep watching this video.
And due to some type of, I don't know, California statute that says you have to have X amount of women who are CEOs in your fucking companies,
like I
that
said.
suddenly these men get outplaced by these women. That sounds like a lot of fucking oppression to me, I gotta tell you.
Do you think men are oppressed?
I think they can. I think anyone can really be oppressed.
Then you're destroying the meaning of the word. If anyone can be oppressed, then no one's oppressed.
No, I get it. Anyone can be oppressed. That's true. Take a look at example, dictatorships like Iran or North Korea or, Cuba, whatever, right? Those are dictatorships. So the entire populace is oppressed. But when you're trying to make the argument that women in this country are oppressed, but then you say men can also be oppressed, then there's no fucking argument. Then everyone's oppressed, not just women. It's like these bullshit articles. I've seen like these crazy headlines that'll say something like, just try to make oppression out of something that doesn't exist. It'll be these crazy headlines that'll say like 20 men killed in war, women affected the most, or women most affected, or some crazy shit like that. And it's always like, even when it doesn't directly affect the women, it's got to be turned into oppression of women.
I think
that just goes to show how little women are oppressed in this country, that they have to turn things that are not about them into oppression of them. They have to go fishing for it.
goes
No,
case
if
by case.
anyone can be oppressed, then there's no oppression.
Cook, Malik.
This whole thing is oppressive.
You're contradicting
out.
almost every statement you make, because you're making statements of facts based on your personal opinions, on your personal life, and your life choices and how you were raised.
Okay.
Here's a question.
You get ride home tonight.
Yeah,
It'll be a long drive.
That's
It'll be
gonna
a long drive.
They drove together, so that's going to be an awkward ride home.
Lucky
Are
me.
there any rights that men have that women don't?
No.
Off the top of my head.
No, you can think about it for a while.
They're going to go with the
Take your time.
reproductive rights
Oh
bullshit.
man.
But that's usually the argument.
I mean,
that
you're
they
gonna. I
claim
already know
they're
the
oppressed.
argument for this one if I say it, but it's like
Say it.
the topic
No,
of
say it.
the topic of abortion. I already know like the counterpoints to that.
I
Okay.
knew it. It's
well,
their
that's true.
only
Men don't have the right
go-to.
to
It's
get
all
abortion.
they
Exactly.
have.
It's like that's gonna be like.
Yeah, it's kind of unfair for men.
Yeah, there we go.
Inequality.
They don't have a say in if you can abort it. That's an argument I've heard.
Okay. Anything besides that?
That's true.
Men
They
would be
don't have a
oppressed in
say
that
if you
sense.
can abort it or keep
Yeah,
it.
are you saying men are oppressed?
Both are equally
I said
involved, right?
you guys said I can't say that.
So it should be her body, her choice. If she wants to abort it and he wants to keep it, then it doesn't matter. But what if he doesn't want it and she wants it? Guess what? He's on the hook for child support for the rest of his life. But I thought it was my body, my choice. That only applies when it comes to your choice and not mine.
that. So yeah.
You can say it.
No, you can say
There's
it.
a case by case.
You're just wrong, but
I never said anything about
It's
not
okay
being
to say
oppressed
I'm wrong.
outside of the U.S. too.
no.
I think
let's
there is oppression in the U.S. as well.
Well, yeah, let's talk about the U.S.
I think, for example, police and women. There's cases where, like, let's say in New York City,
She's
and
literally trying to make a case out of nothing. It doesn't
you're
exist.
gonna play a
That's what she's
noise.
thinking
In
about.
I think it was the 1970s. There was a lot of.
Is it
Octopus Tetra
1970,
donated
2024?
$100. Jojo, I am happy that you can take the side of the unpopular opinion on this podcast. It takes guts and takes knowledge. I'm literally spending $300 to say this now. You're just wrong. Praise Jesus.
Praise the Lord.
You were about to say something about cops in the 1970s?
In the 1970s,
1970s, right.
women
It's
who were prostitutes
2024.
in the 1970s were getting arrested and thrown in jail, and the pimps, because of being men, were a lot of times not persecuted.
Okay, and gay marriage wasn't legal until 2012. How is that relevant?
You guys want to? I'm just citing general knowledge
in
of
the
oppression.
1970s,
now.
in
Yeah.
the 1970s,
They have to
How
go
are
back
women
40
oppressed
years,
now?
50 years.
Yeah.
they were just a little nice to
Like,
the pimps, huh?
2010 forward. At least in the 2020s
wait, so that-
Or they were forced
now.
into sex work by like these men, these pimps, and it was just a general. Again, another. I know you guys love it. Another study that I read
Oh,
about,
God.
and it's
What right does a man have in this country that a woman does not?
Today.
How many years ago was 1970, by the way?
Quick.
1970.
How many?
40 years.
Yeah,
ago.
just
44 years
1970.
ago.
How
No,
many years
50
ago?
years ago. Is that what you wanted?
50 years.
54, but
Oh, I said 70s. I don't know what year.
Okay.
Actually, it's 54. 50 years.
I mean, truthfully, the only thing that I can think of when we're talking about rights, the only thing I can think of is, and this isn't the case, there's some jurisdictions where this is allowed, but men can go topless. They can,
Oh, that's a good
without a
one.
shirt. It really isn't though, because that's like,
Yeah.
even women don't want to walk around topless. And there's some jurisdictions where you can go topless. But like, is that like,
Oppressive.
look, I'm all for free the titties.
Yeah, so there you go. That was pretty much the entire video. She couldn't come up with anything. I applaud her though, like the commenter said, for taking the unpopular, side or unpopular opinion on the podcast. But she was just wrong, flat on her face. Like, there is no right in this country that a man has that a woman doesn't, besides, I guess, going topless, right? But women are also not oppressed in this country. If anything, women are being afforded more opportunities than men are in general. Women are actually graduating college at a higher rate than men are. And I know, you're probably thinking like, oh, well, you say you hate the red pill, but you're spouting their points. Well, yeah, I hate that cornball shit they talk about, but the facts are facts. Like, if somebody presents me facts, they're just that. It doesn't matter who the messenger is. Like the saying goes, a clock is right twice, a broken clock is right twice a day. It's just stupid, man. It's stupid for a lot of these feminist types to think that they're actually oppressing this country when they're not. And everything points to the contrary, especially when you compare it to other places around the world. But anyways, that's all I got for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Follow me on social media and join the Discord. The link is always in the description down below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.